What's up? This is your host Non-Fungible TC, Non-Fungible today and Non-Fungible tomorrow. And this Friday is an eventful Friday because we were talking about crypto options futures expiry, which kind of led to yesterday's a huge dump downwards, and now we do see the market trying to recover, right? And just want to show you this news, and this is the reason why the market is slowly recovering, right? Things are getting more positive, right? If you look at the global index, if you just look at Asia today, everything is green. If you look at EU, everything is green. And if you look at pre-market, the US market is going to open in around 30 minutes. It is all green besides oil and US Treasury 10-year bond, right? So I think things are slowly getting better, right? But yesterday there was a decoupling. There was a Nasdaq was going up while crypto was going down. And I kind of explained the reason that it could be options expiry, and I'm gonna share more today. So like and subscribe to this channel. This is a channel where I come to you daily on a daily basis to talk about crypto, to talk about NFTs, the macro environment, what is happening in this space. And it is important that we track this closely so that we have conviction in what we have invested, right? If you are best invested here. So alright, before I begin, I just want to share with you, I've been sharing CoinMarketCap all the time on a daily basis. If you have never used CoinMarketCap, you never heard of it, I just prepared a video today which is called CoinMarketCap, the really comprehensive tutorial. Feel free to check that out. It is a little bit long, it's 31 minutes, but basically I've gone through the whole website of CoinMarketCap, and I did share some tips and also some terminology and what does it mean, right? And also really interesting, yesterday I did a interview with Seneca, right? I interviewed him, get to know his story, he shared about his background as a poker player, and also why, and his thoughts on the current market as well, and also why he is always advocating empathy, right? And why we need empathy and humanity in this space. So this is an interesting interview if you want to tap into the minds of, someone who's really into NFTs, who has advised a lot of different projects, and to, see what he has been doing in this space, right? And I also asked him about community building, because everything he built was actually done within a year, so that was super impressive as well. So moving on to today, market, as I've shown you, looks positive. Asian market, EU market is positive, pre-market looks positive. Feds, I showed you the article just now, so that's why everything seems kind of positive. Actually since yesterday, the traditional market was actually positive as well, right? Because we do see the traditional market going up. In terms of the crypto market, this is the crypto market. We are back at 1.22 trillion market cap, which is a 0.35% increase. Yesterday we were at 1.2, which was kind of scary, right? But now we're going back up. Bitcoin is 29,000. Ethereum is at 1.8 thousand. Slowly climbing back up. Hopefully we'll get back to the 1,900 and then going back to 2,000, right? But as you can see, the top market cap tokens are actually Terra, USDC, and Binance is actually here. So what it means is that a lot of people are holding stable coins right now. They're still on the side. It is only until when we see these stable coins moving down in the lower ranking, then it means that the money is back in the market, right? So we all have to be careful. And this is actually the crypto bubbles today, right? A chain. I clicked into this. I was kind of curious, why do you have a token that have a 70% increase? I looked into this social media. I don't really get it. Basically, it is a solution that helps you launch your blockchain in minutes to sequence by chain, right? And it is a protocol. But a while back we were tracking the market on a daily basis. XCN did come up a few times, but then as fast as it goes up, as fast as it dumps, right? So maybe some people have some info, but for me personally, I would not buy a token that have a 70% increase in a day, because it is very risky, right? We still have other tokens in the red, right? Okay, that's Luna. But yeah, we are slowly recovering. The market is so shaky. This is not like a bull market. It's interesting to see Sand token here, because I think this is probably because of the Coinbase thing, and actually they're working with a lot of Hong Kong brands. They just announced that PCCW, HKT, which is a telecommunication company, building the presence in Sandbox as well. So these tokens are all the tokens that we've seen. Yeah, nothing pretty much special besides the 70% increase. And if we actually look at the total crypto market cap on a maybe 1 day basis, right? We do see that it is slowly recovering. we did have some downwards today, but then we are slowly recovering, which explains the green. But we look at it by 5 days, we did take a hit, right? It is a downward trend. If you just draw a line here, it is a downward trend. Kind of had some support here at 1.16. So these are really scary days, remember. This is just actually yesterday, right? So this is just 5 days. If we look at 1 month, yep, hovering sideways but kind of downwards here. So DeFi, let's look at DeFi. Let's continue about our analysis. Let's look at on-chain data, right? Crypto quant. And in the future, I'm going to do like a video on crypto quant. Bitcoin is positive, right? Exchange net outflow is lower. Exchange reserve is now finally lower, right? Exchange reserve was kind of negative a while back, and then we did see a dump in the price, right? So let us have a look at the exchange reserve. And let's have a look at the 1 week, right? So yes, after coming, Bitcoin coming to the exchange, they are now going downward. So this is positive. It's good to see. We'll have to see how fast it goes down. Let us look at exchange net flow by 1 week. Oh, so it seems like whales or some people have taken the advantage of the huge dump, buying the Bitcoin and then immediately withdrawing it out of the exchanges. So this is Bitcoin. Let's look at Ethereum. Exchange reserve, yep, similar patterns, right? Going back downwards as well. Exchange reserve, and also the exchange net flow, negative. So finally, after 3 days of positive, we now have some negative. So this is really important, right? In the past week, if you were with me and you've been watching my video, these on-chain data seems very helpful, right? But RSI, because it's up, the tokens are up. It is right now at a neutral status. So usually, if you really want to have the most gain and be slightly more safer in your trades, always buy at the oversold. But when this becomes negative, when people are like very, very bullish, that might be a good time to sell, because whales always pay gains, and I will explain why, especially when futures and options expire today. We have a huge future and option expiry. To be honest, I'll be very honest with you, I'm not really into futures. I don't really know how it works. It's just that I've been listening to a lot of people saying that, oh, this will affect the price and stuff like that. And I've seen how usually at the last Friday of every month, these huge volatility really do happen. And I'll try to talk about it, right? So look at DeFi. The total value locked right now is at 106 billion. The change, we have a negative change. Usually when people are comfortable with the market, they might put into DeFi because they have to put it in tokens, right? But if they're not comfortable in the market, maybe they'll hold cash, right? So we still have a long way to recover in terms of DeFi, because this huge down, as we all remember, were actually caused by the Luna and UST. So we don't really have a lot of faith in the market yet. So that's DeFi. Let's look at NFT. So this is on the Ethereum chain. Let us look at on the macro scale, right? Let us look at the different chains, okay? So this is on the last 24 hours. So in terms of Ethereum, the change in terms of volume did go down. Same for Solana, right? But it seems like for flow, it's increasing. So something must be happening, right? But in general, the overall sentiment feels like, money, like liquidity is, less active in NFTs. And also, if you just look at this top D app radar in terms of top marketplace in 24 hours, in terms of user, Magic Eden is still on the lead. And I'm not sure if you know, but OpenSea did update the UI today, right? So I'm not sure what you think. If you have some comments about it, you want to talk about it, feel free to comment below. But if you look at this, we do see that Magic Eden has some increase in the user, but for OpenSea, some decrease. But in general, I think trading volume in Ethereum is still not back before when the market was very bullish and stuff like that, right? So, looking at the Ethereum market NFT ranking, a sea of red, for all the big projects, but this is actually AI moonbirds, right? You have a lot of AI derivative projects coming out. Town, yesterday we were talking about 2 ETH, now it's back at 1.6. So these fluctuations are actually quite high, right? And actually PXN is at 0.95 right now. Remember back then this project before pre-review was at 4 Ethereum, even though the market was kind of shaky, but it really shows that how sentiment narrative could change so quickly. So yeah, I would say it is a kind of negative market. Don't really have any significant movement for our top projects. So in terms of looking at NFT Go, blue chip index, as I kind of observed, it's kind of sideways but kind of negative, like not positive, like it's a downward trend. If you look at 7 days, yep, 7 days is actually a downward trend, and we are even going further down. Cool, sentiment, still not the break-even point, but as I always say every day, if the people losing money exceeds the people winning money in 30 days, then we'll have even lower volume. In terms of trading volume, yeah, we do see like a some sort of spike from time to time, but in terms of the money traded has been going down, but there's a slight increase in terms of a daily basis. But in 24 hours, market cap reduced but more volume, right? So that's the overall market, but in terms of the traders, right, everything is kind of like going down in the last 24 hours. So that's basically the NFT market from a very macro scale, as you can see. Let us look at the reason why cryptocurrencies taking a beating yesterday, right? So basically, this was an article from Cointelegraph yesterday, saying that Ethereum price dips below 1.8k support as bears prepare for Friday's 1 billion options expiry. So basically, today there's a 1 billion options expiry, and because with 1 billion at stake, of course, people are trying to manipulate the prices, right? So this is more focused on Ethereum, this article. And so basically what happened is that bulls actually placed the bet at 2,100 higher, right? So they were actually thinking that Ethereum could go to 2,100 higher. But then bears were holding, thinking that it would go lower, right? At 1,800 below, right? So basically this analysis shows that actually if Ethereum closes today at 1,600 to 1,700, basically a zero cost versus 230,000 puts, right? The net result favors the put bear instrument by 370 million, and if it's in this range, 1,700 to 1,800, then the net result favors the bears as well, but then with less money. And if it's between 1,800 to 2,000, which is what Ethereum is trading right now, the net result still favors the bears. So that's why I think the bears have already accomplished what they're trying to do in terms of options trading. Because it's very hard for the bulls to really kind of push this so quickly back up, right? They're all still at a very volatile market. If we look at trading view, if we look at like 30 minutes, right? It is struggling, right? It is very struggling to, climb back up, right? So I don't think it will end. It will kind of hover around this range, right? So the bears has won for this, options futures. But then after these games are done, after these rare games has ended, right? Usually the market could recover in the weekends, right? But not financial advice. But we've seen this, right? Every time at the end of the month, we do see this volatility. But in the end, the market comes back stronger, right? But it really depends, right? Because right now there's so many fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and also the macro environment isn't looking that good. But right now it's slightly recovering, so we have to see how long will it take, and whether this is immediately a new bull market or the market sentiment is all positive, right? But as we do see, a lot of money is in stablecoins, right? So people have not really exited the market in terms of cashing out the stablecoins. So that's something to look out for. So in terms of Ethereum, why did it take a huge hit yesterday? So I kind of talked about the Beacon Chain event, right? The Beacon Chain block reorganizing event. It seems that it did, according to Decrypt, that affected market sentiment and causing it to dump, right? So as bear cycle crypto and traditional market, Ethereum has faced the brunt of it, right? So it was trading at hands at 1,770, down roughly 3.4 over the past 24 hours, right? And according to this article, it shed more than 16% of its value for Ethereum because, it is possibly because of the Beacon Chain, right? People are kind of worried that is the merge gonna come, because the merge is gonna be something to kick off everything, right? So this is another article saying that why Ethereum has taken a huge beating, which is not usual, right? Because Ethereum has been holding up quite well if we really look at it, right? Not technical analysis or whatever, but Ethereum has been holding quite well when it dumps, right? And also has been trading sideways if we look at 4 hours, right? Usually I look at 4 hours, and if we look at here, there was in terms of good, right? Usually what it means is that, look, remember this was the huge lunar dump, right? But ever since that dump, what happened was that, let's see, Ethereum was quite, positive, right? I mean, it was trading around this range, after the lunar dump, right? So, I think it was because of some article, the article saying that, oh, there's some issue with the beacon chain, or the merge or whatever, and also bears trying to move to the advantage in terms of the option expiry. Boom, you have this huge breakdown, caused some liquidations, and now we're slowly recovering. But Ethereum was actually holding up pretty well in the past week, right? So we all seen it, right? So anyways, moving on to our next news. As Terra dies, so we all know Terra is officially dead. They're gonna move to Terra 2.0. If you don't know, what happened is that protocols and projects are moving to Polygon, right? Polygon is calling on projects displaced and disgruntled by Terra's collapse to join its ranks. So basically, Polygon's CEO is asking people to come to Polygon, and we have to get a multi-million-dollar fund to provide relief to Terra developers to help them stay on the feet and migrate. It starts with us announcing our partnership with One Planet NFT, a premium marketplace on Terra, coming to OX Polygon exclusively, right? So why should we know this, right? So in crypto, it is a dog-eat-dog world, right? If your chain has more projects, if it has more developer, it means that more money would go in because people can do more with it on that chain. But if your chain has no development, if there's no DEXs, decentralized exchanges, if there's no play to earn, if there's no games or anything, it means that less money will go there. So that's why projects are trying so hard to get these different type of protocols are trying so hard to get different type of projects to come in. So that's why I do think that Polygon as a layer 2 is actually doing quite well, but they are incentivizing people to come there. But it really depends on whether the people on Terra who plan to use that existing project will migrate to Polygon, right? So just another news to share with you. But another interesting news, Nansen, which is an analytics software, had a report on the UST stablecoin, depeg, right? So basically what happened is that they were saying that, hey, so recently we asked the dust is settling, right? People were talking about whether stablecoin is not stable or whatever and stuff like that. But Nansen, undertook an investigation leveraging on-chain data from the Terra ecosystem to Ethereum blockchain in an effort to chart the chain of events that led to the UST depeg, right? So basically, it is worth noting that the report does not include potential off-chain events that could have exacerbated the situation, impact on investors, breakdown led losses between wallets, and what happened to the Bitcoin reserve back in UST. So what happened is that attackers played on shallow curve liquidity to exploit arbitrage opportunity. So what they say is that a small set of addresses of players that identify vulnerability in a Terra ecosystem, right? These actors played on the relatively shallow liquidity of curve pool back in the UST, pegged to other stablecoin, and moved to capitalize on the arbitrage opportunity, right? So they talked about how these actors withdraw UST funds from the Anchor protocol on Terra, and these funds were then bridged from Terra to Ethereum, making use of the Wormhole infrastructure. So massive amounts of UST were then swapped with various stablecoins and Curve's liquidity pool. Nansen then speculated that during the depegging process, some of the identified wallets exploited the discrepancy between the pricing sources on Curve as well as decentralized and centralized exchanges by taking buying and selling positions across exchanges, right? So it is, the report refuted a speculative narrative that a single hacker or attacker worked to destabilize the UST. So it was several wallets, right? It's not one wallet, but actually it was actually 7 wallets central to the UST depeg, right? So their analysis adopted a grounded theory approach that identified relevant transaction volume between May 7th and 11th, the time frame in which UST lost its one peg, right? So it was talking about a review social media and forum threads to narrow down the particular time frame, highlighting the transaction flow and curve liquidity pool, which led to a three-phase analytical approach, right? So they were doing a lot of analysis, and then they found out that it is actually 7 wallets, right? A list of 7 wallets was then highlighted that were believed to be central in the Terra ecosystem collapse. So it is a teamwork. It is definitely not one hacker or whatever. It is a deliberate attempt to cause this to happen. But these will make a lot of money. But the reason why I want to share this article is that because all of these information are on chain, right? Imagine this is done with on things that are not on chain, that's not transparent. It's very hard for a autopsy report like this, right? But because everything is on chain, we could do tracing to kind of identify certain type of trends and movements, right? So I just think this is an interesting article to share. This is an interesting story. Another interesting story: hacker takes own medicine as community gets back stolen NFT. So the developer partner of the Solana-based NFT game raised the royalty of the project to 98 from the usual 5%, resulting in the scammer listing 25 stolen NFT for sale, which were then brought back and returned. Okay? The tales of traders getting scammed out of the non-fungible tokens are quite common in the peak of the NFT boom. However, in an interesting turn of event, the Solana community came together to scam a scammer in order to get back some stolen NFT, right? So basically, there was a Discord channel hack of a cross-chain gaming development studio, Uncharted NFT, where scammers managed to drain out 109 user wallets. The scammer got away with 150 SOL tokens and 25 worth of Solana NFTs, right? So, you know, what happened is that it's sad, right? So basically, this is the background about the NFT. So the community was asked to keep an eye on the Solana NFT marketplace, Magic Eden for any new listing. The scammer fell for the trap within 2 days, and the community managed to buy back 15 NFTs, while the other 10 were sniped, right? Sniping is the process of waiting for the last second of an NFT auction in order to make a winning bid. This strategy is used to prevent other NFT bidder from placing a high bid before the auction ends, right? So interestingly, what happened was that this whole thing was talking about how it was a win for the community, right? There was a thread talking about the hack and how the community was able to, you know, get back the royalties, right? So the owner of the project changed the royalty. So I think this is definitely a really cool thing. It shows that actually the developers and the community could work together to fight against the scammers and hackers. But it is always a two-sided thing. The other side of the coin is that developers can change the royalties, right? In case if you do not know, right? So every time when you sell an NFT or whatever, if you bought an NFT that is a rug pull, right? And you didn't know. What if they secretly change the royalty and you didn't know, and you sell it, and then basically you lose the value. You lose the whole value because they set to 98% royalty, right? So this is something that is interesting to see. It's great that this is being used for good, but I can see that it could be used for bad as well. So we have to be careful. But definitely good win, you know, great job, you know, to the developer and the community, especially if this is a community-backed thing, right? So next thing, interesting news: draft bill to ban China's digital yuan from U.S. App Store. So basically, what happened is that 3 Republican senators introduced a bill to protect Americans from the Authoritarian Digital Currencies Act. So you know, China is trying to come up with the ECNY, which is the electronic, you know, renminbi, right? This is a Chinese currency. So some senators in the US decided to come up with a bill trying to ask app stores to remove anything that supports this CBDC, because they think that you know, the Chinese Communist Party will use digital currency to control and spy on anyone who uses it. We can't give China that chance, and blah 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 blah. Okay, so the interesting thing is that lawmakers are working on CBDCs right now, and the fact that they are banning it shows the importance and the significance of CBDC. So the reason why I want to share it with you is actually not just the article, right? It's the meaning behind it, right? It basically means that lawmakers will kind of do more in terms of CBDC, and they do see it as a political tool to use it to their advantage. So countries and whatever is definitely gonna launch the CBDC, and how they and also they're gonna use it as a geopolitical struggle, that type of stuff, right? So it'll be interesting to see how cryptocurrency you know, links with this, right? What if certain CBDCs could be exchanged with cryptocurrency, and then it could be exchanged back into the fiat, right? So could lawmakers do anything to limit that, right? In terms of CBDC or cryptocurrency. So I do think that this is a very interesting thing. It shows that, you know, countries, lawmakers keeping a close eye on CBDC, and definitely this has some effect on cryptocurrency as well, because it's all about the money flow, right? But if lawmakers can see that CBDC is a way to control in the US, right? What is it to say that the US CBDC isn't something to be used as a control mechanism as well, or maybe other countries as well? It's not only exclusive to China. So I think it is interesting to see how this whole thing unfolds. So that's it for today's show. Happy Friday to all of you. Have a great weekend. Hopefully this weekend we'll see a rally. You know, because we have been trading sideways for some time, finally broken its support. But then hopefully this weekend we'll see some rally, right? This is your host, Non-Fungible TC. If you like the content, remember to like and subscribe. And I'm signing out.